I'm Chelsea J and I'm an independent town councillor for Witham. I've become a town councillor because I got this sudden desire to get into politics, and I thought, where can I start? It all comes from a place of activism. I started off campaigning when I suddenly become disabled when I was 20, and it's just snowballed from there. I campaigned for disability rights in media and in fashion, and I always would get told, you know what, you'd be really good in politics, Chelsea. And I always used to sort of shrug it off and be like, nah, it's not for me, it's not my scene. And then all of a sudden I was just like, I've been campaigning all this time for disability representation in media and in fashion, but I can't see myself in politics either. I can't see, you know, a young Essex girl with a disability. So on to the next. And that's how I got into it. And it literally started from me going to councillor meetings, showing up, sitting there, watching how everything goes. And then I run in the local elections, and somehow I got voted in first time round. I was a complete wild card, and I think that's what people liked. It's quite lonely being the youngest councillor in the town council. It's very frustrating in the nicest way. It's a bit like hanging out with your nan and all of their mates. You're not gonna be necessarily on the same wavelength all of the time, purely because there is that massive gap there. You know, it's when you don't have anyone else around you that's of a similar lifestyle or similar age or any of these little things, they really matter. And it's very difficult for me because obviously a lot of things that I find issues I find that are important, they might not necessarily agree, and that could literally be down to a bit of a different era kind of attitude, if you get what I mean. So that can be quite tricky. I would say to anyone that's young and thinking about getting into politics and to run as councillors, just do it. Don't be afraid that you don't belong there, because that's part of the problem. Because you can't see yourself, it makes you kind of backtrack. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be afraid of it. Go for it. I think I'm proof in the pudding. That's exactly what I did. And now I'm a town councillor, and I've, you know, actually been able to be involved in the conversation and to, you know, fight for my town. Climate change is important to me on a personal level, just because I think as the years have gone on, I've just become really aware of how important it is. It definitely wasn't something that I really did much on at school, or, you know, was taught was particularly important, which is crazy to me now. I've been a vegan for about 6 years. That's probably the biggest personal thing, because I know how much good that does singly on its own. But I actually have just started to kind of everything I do, everything I buy especially, I try to do the sustainable option. So I've now completely swapped all my makeup over, swapped all my toiletries over, and bit by bit, my household as well. It's always a little bit more tricky because it's not just me that lives here. So yeah, I'm slowly but surely, it's a process, but I do little things. If you want to have a new outfit, buy it secondhand. There's a constant flurry of things that have only been worn once on eBay, for example. Swap stuff with your friends, and then good old-fashioned charity shops. council isn't doing enough, in my opinion. So that's something that we're certainly working on. We've started going to, learning events. So we went recently to a climate conference. I say when, obviously it was virtual, but that was really, really insightful. And it gave you sort of examples of how on an individual level, on a town councillor level, you can help with this movement, and you can, just try and, put it on the agenda a bit more. I'm hoping to strip it right back and be quite basic about it, and, make sure that we're having loads of trees planted. We've got lots of development in the town, and obviously with new development comes lots of destruction, obviously, to the habitat. So for me, I want to avoid that as much as possible, but if it can't be avoided, we need to be throwing more trees up everywhere. And I've actually been, seeking some advice on how to do this and to look after them. So I know it does take obviously a lot to nurture new trees. So there's little steps, baby steps, but there certainly is a lot that can be done.